What is the best piece of career advice that you've been given of late? Now, I think that is a great question, because if you are a millennial, then this is the channel for you, because today I'm going to give you the 8 best career tips that I've learned personally, and I think you should know too. With that in mind, my name is Brendan. I am a recovering accountant based here in London, and I help millennials navigate busy lives and make sure that work doesn't suck. Now, we've all been dealing with the demands of work over the last 12 months, although we've been dealing with work forever, but over the last 12 months, we've been battling the COVID pandemic. It's not been easy. And we've struggled around staying motivated. We've struggled around creating a working environment. We've struggled around missing our human interaction. So it made me ponder. I said, why am I trying to help millennials? Well, firstly, I am one. Well, technically, under certain definitions, I might not be. I was born in November 1990, which actually means in some ways I don't tick into the millennial box, but I have found a definition that helps form the fact that I am a millennial, and with that I am going to take it and I'm going to run with it. But more importantly, it means that I can help you here, get ahead in life. Now, these are the 8 best career tips that I've learned and practiced that I want you to take away so that you make sure that work doesn't suck. Let's just cut the crap. Let's just dive straight in. Number 1. Think of your career as a series of experiences. Now, the easy way, certainly when you're putting together your CV or a resume, is to just think around the actions that you've done. Now, that's an intelligent but short-fall way of selling yourself short. Why not think about the experiences that you've created? Think about the experiences, because you could have one employer and 5 hugely different experiences, or you could have 5 employers, each with a very different experience across the board. It doesn't actually matter anymore, contrary to what everybody tells you, that you need to stay in a job for a long time and anybody that's moved within 2 years is not going to be able to stick to the job and all that other nonsense. Now, I recruit, and I've been recruited, and I've worked remotely, and I've worked for a long time, and all that other stuff. It doesn't matter anymore. It matters around the experiences that you create and that you can bring to your future employer. The idea that I subscribe to is to become a lifelong learner, especially of experience. Now, I constantly am trying to push myself to understand what I'm capable of, and that's why I've done Ironman triathlons, I've run up mountains, I've cycled the length of the country, etc., etc. The more experiences you have, expand your views, create a far more interesting and rounded person, and that only will benefit you in your career. Number 2, very simply, do not settle for a job that you are not passionate about. Simple. Almost don't need to say any more than that. A lot of people, especially when you come out of university or you're looking for your first job, are desperate just to get a job and start paying some bills. Please, if you can, take a step back, take a moment and just say, am I actually going to enjoy this? Because research generally shows that if you don't enjoy what you do, the chances are you're not going to stay there that long. Gone are the days where you used to have a job for life and you just had to stick it out, and I don't subscribe to that theory anymore anyway. If you don't like what you do, make a change. It is scary, it is properly terrifying, and many people will be like, oh, don't do it because you've got a good job and all that other stuff. Nonsense. If you're not happy doing what you are doing, make a change. Nobody else is going to do it for you. I promise you also, if you ever quit with nothing to go to, purely to make a change and make sure that you are getting out of a rut that you're in at the moment, others will jump on board and they'll be like, oh, I wish I could do what you're doing. Respond. It's easy. Quit with nothing to go to. Simple. Now, I'm not suggesting you do that, but if you want to hear my experience, please do click this link here where I talk about how I quit my job with nothing to go to because I hated the Sunday evening blues. But life is generally too short to settle on a career that you don't like. So please, make a choice right at the very beginning. Do what you enjoy. Number 3 is all around making a big impact early. The quicker you make an impact, the more attention and the more support and generally the more opportunities you will get. It's a harsh but true lesson. Millennials, actually, you guys, really understand this because you probably won't have 5 years to make an impact on a project because you probably won't stay for 5 years. which I support, by the way. Starting on day one to learn as much as you can and give everything that you've got to help make a positive and influential influence, there's too many influences in there, is definitely a right way to go. By doing this, I genuinely believe you'll explode your career and become far more valuable to your company. And in turn, if you're good at what you do, the money will come, the opportunities will come, the development will come, and success will come. And who doesn't want success? So there you are. Be bold, be impactful, be successful. Number 4 is all around taking risks early and often. Now, nobody wants to fail, and I wouldn't encourage you to fail on purpose, but fail fast, fail often is a phrase that's often used from an innovation perspective, and the same could be true from your career. There is so much out of our control, especially in the economy and the big wide world, that, why worry about it too much? By taking a risk, you are putting yourself in a position to learn. You start out with this hypothesis, i.e. what you want to try and achieve. You go and do it, and you very quickly realise whether it was or was not possible. Did it succeed or did it fail? If it failed, that is actually a good thing. It's a good thing because you now know more than you did beforehand. But most people won't give themselves the chance to fail. They did no. It's too scary. I'm not keen. There's too much risk. Fuck it. Why not? That's how you get ahead. If you want to be a plain Jane and just take it safe Charlie, then don't bother. But if you want to become successful and you want to challenge yourself and you want to be a lifelong learner, you need to learn to take risks. As society becomes more entrepreneurial because we're having to adapt to the way the world is working, you're only going to put yourself in a strong position. So think about it. Think about the next time you can take a risk which might just boost your career. Number 5, it's a bit harder to do over the last 12 months, but it's spend more time with people than with your laptop. Now, as a millennial, and one of my skills and one of my strengths is actually being able to navigate and have a foot both in the technical aspects of what I do, but also understand and talk the language of the C-suite and the boards. That's all down to relationships and being able to hold a conversation. We've got to be able to interact with people, and I know that we're all doing it through the letterbox of Zooms and Teams and all the other video calling software that we've had to deal with over the last 12 months. But having a conversation and building relationships is one of the best ways to succeed in your career. People buy technology, but people buy into people. If you want to do any further reading, I would highly suggest that you have a look at Simon Sinek's Start With Why and The Infinite Game. That's all around making sure that you are putting the right things in the right place. And his third book, actually the one that's often overlooked, is called Why Leaders Eat Last. Now, I think it's fascinating. I'm a huge believer in people and massively keen to keep learning as a leader. But people buy technology, people buy into people. So why not put yourself out there and become a really good person at speaking to people? Want to learn, even if you don't like it, you need to go and do it. I'm just as guilty as anybody else. It's easy to sit behind the laptop, and I've often shied away in the past from having to public speak. But the best way I learned to overcome it is to make myself do it. I had to stand up in front of probably 200-300 people at the Microsoft Ignite conference a year or so ago and talk around a data platform. It's scary. I received a very high number of feedback, sort of positive feedback compliments, and that's nice, but it doesn't mean that the heart's not going like the clappers. So be bold and put yourself out there, and please speak to people. Number 6 is all around measuring your outcomes and building case studies. So for me, as I've been through my career, I've tried to pinpoint what are like the poster children projects that I've completed and been involved in that will help me kind of springboard to the next level. That's a key part that actually people don't tell you when you start out, is not only do you need to try and make an impact, but if you find these projects that help you evolve and grow and challenge yourself, that's what's actually going to help you get to where you want to be. The problem is recruiters are very keen to try and put you in a pigeonhole, put you in a box and say, this is what you do, what are the outcomes that you're trying to achieve, and all that other nonsense. But if you've got a case study that you can talk to, not only does it allow you to talk to the details. Now, Elon Musk's, one of his interview techniques is actually to dive into the detail of what people talk about on the CVs, because generally, if you've done the actual work, you will know the detail. If you haven't done the work, you generally talk at these high level, sort of airy-fairy terminologies and people don't get it. So why not look at the case studies that you want to do? What is it that you want to do? Now, my aspiration and dream is to work for somebody like Lego or Under Armour or one of the kind of fitness technology companies. But if in order to do that, I need to be really good at what I do. Now that's up to me to learn, and having come through the accountancy route and now working in the data space, it's hard. It's not always easy, but I'm building my case studies so that when somebody says, how about it? I'm hot to trot. Number 7 is all around sacrificing today so that you can have more tomorrow. In the entrepreneurial sense, people often refer to either jam today or more jam tomorrow. And that's quite simply saying you can't have everything you want now if you want to have it in the future. Quite simply, and this is a very cheesy phrase, to get something that you've never had before, you're going to have to do something you've never done before. Now, back in the day, I used to work 60, 70 hours a week on projects, really with a view to be able to qualify in my exams, build up some experience and move on. It was all part of a plan, but it's hard at the time. You think, actually, I don't want to do it. I want the easy way out. I'm just sick and tired of doing this. I've also got a very good friend who has just sold a business in the educational technology space, and he put in, I think it was 7 or 8 years of hard graft before selling it on for a princely sum. Now, he is a true inspiration. I massively look up to him, and I'm hugely respectful for what he's done, because he was always committed to making it in the future, even at times when the financial and the operational burdens are quite overbearing. But you've got to keep going. Now, do you want to take cash now? And if that's the case, then just try and get a job that's easy, that just pays you quite well, or do you want to really make it rain with the money in future years? The more you do earlier on in your career, the better you will be in the end, because I genuinely believe that if you do a good job and you learn and you grow your experiences, the money will come. It will happen because you'll be an expert in what you do. The more you flit around and the more that you're just kind of airy-fairing around at the beginning, it's harder. I started out without a plan, and I was a bit lucky in certain places, becoming a management consultant, and I was going to move to South Africa and that didn't quite happen. But I became an expert in the data space, and that's where I am now. So please, knuckle down. If you're wanting to create more jam later, you need to do a hard graft now. And number 8 is all about locating a mentor, specifically in an area and operating under a lifestyle that you're looking for. It's easy to pick somebody out and say, will you mentor me? It's harder to pick somebody out that's doing what you want to do. I've had a few mentors in the past, and I've looked up to them all, but they've operated in a space that I've been trying to shoot for. It's not always easy because they do ask the really tough questions, and when I was looking at my own endeavours, is what had got me to a particular stage in my life has been just a little bit of a wing and a prayer, and I've been a bit lucky. But to get to the next stage, not having a plan was going to inhibit me. My mentor sat me down and said, okay, what are you actually trying to achieve? I said, well, I want to be in the C-suite, and I want to be successful, and I want to make my parents proud, and all that sort of good stuff. But I didn't have a plan on how to do it. I didn't really know where to start. And that's not a bad thing. But asking for help is a big first step on that. I mean, quite simply, if you want to go into the consulting world, is there anybody that you know or can get in touch with that works at Bain or McKinsey or one of the bigger consulting firms and saying, will you be my mentor? But remember, it's a value trade. The person being your mentor needs to be able to get something out of it as well as you being a mentee. So what can you bring to the discussion? What do you bring to the relationship? The more that you understand what's happening from their point of view, the greater that you will both get out of the situation. So one of the things I was taught actually in terms of trying to get into the C-suite is you need to learn the T. Now the T is all around having a wide span of knowledge, but also having significant depth in a particular area. So I work in the data space, and let's say I become a chief data officer somewhere. Okay, I need to understand how businesses work and how we can work strategically across a number of areas, but I've also got to have a deep understanding of a particular area. That's not to say that people can't become specialists or generalists across all of the C-suite, but it is harder. So if you wanted to become a senior or a key leader in your business or where you're going, what is your T? Something for you to consider. Now, as it's a video and I thought I would give you a Brucey bonus, if you don't know what a Brucey bonus is, please look up Bruce Forsyth's generation game where he talks about boosted bonuses. But anyway, I digress. Now, the bonus piece is around starting your own website to capture your own portfolio of work. Now, it might seem slightly strange, especially if you're not in the media world, but having a place that you can kind of curate your own message now is really, really important. Yes, LinkedIn is a great resource, and to be honest, it's kind of been overrun by all of the recruiters, and it's basically just a jobs board. But why not be the master of your own destiny? Why not create your own website? And I would highly encourage you to just use your fullname.com and build what you want people to know. Now, if people Google me, I hope that they will see that I trained as an accountant, but I've become a management consultant, and I'm now working in the data space, looking at innovation and strategic visions of how companies leverage their data in a better way. But outside of that, I've done an Ironman, I've run up a mountain, I've started a business which didn't really work. I'm passionate about helping people. I'm a sports enthusiast. I go to the gym every morning and I try and stay fit and healthy. I do like the nutrition side of things. I love reading and I love writing, and I'm trying to write a book at the moment. How do you curate that story? It's in your gift. If you don't have a personal website, it's not to say it's not possible, it just makes it harder. So the bonus, go online, buy your domain, and build your own website. If you're not sure how to do it, have a quick Google, but I'm sure people like GoDaddy or 123reg will help you on that journey. And that's it. They are the 8+1 career advice tips that I've learned and used that I think you should know, especially if you're a millennial, but also if you're starting out in your career at the moment. It's taken a bit of time and it's been quite painful in certain instances, but you've got to know where you're going. If you found this useful, please do check out this video here where I talk about how I quit my job in nothing to go to because I was deeply unhappy and I had massive Sunday evening blues. But with that, I will wish you all a good day, and I will see you very soon. Cheers.